Welcome to Joe's Astrology, and I'm talking about Venus and Aries in this video. And I'm going to start reading from a book and we will go from there. The Venus and Aries person will be quite narcissistic, self-orientated, and feel within themselves that they are quite special. I didn't know he was going to say that. Narcissistic. I don't know if I would go that far, but they can be narcissistic, just like any Aries person, any fire sign, any planets in the first house, Mars people, Sun people, etc. And there's usually a reason for that. So it's not all bad. Inwardly they will instinctively feel that they have some undefined special destiny to fulfill, which requires a fundamental independence in order to actualize it. This is what I would like Venus in Aries, or just Venus in fire signs in general, because I can really appreciate that vision of a special destiny, even if there really isn't a special destiny. Just that I just like people that have that feeling that they have a special destiny. There's just something about it. Thus, in a relationship, these people can never fully commit themselves to another person, always keeping a deep part of their inner self isolated from the relationship. Cyclically, the Venus and Aries person can be extremely passionate and involved. They seem fully committed through displays of intense, passionate energy of a very creative nature, which keep the relationship moving forward. On the other hand, the Venus and Aries person will cyclically withdraw this energy when they instinctively feel that they have become too involved, too caught up in the relationship, in such a way that their need for independent actualization of their sense of special destiny is threatened. The trigger for this withdrawal is that they feel like they have become too enmeshed with the other person. The other person will then feel totally deflated, confused, angry, and become intensely confrontational by way of projecting their own insecurities upon the Venus and Aries person. I just knew somebody who this happened to. They were dating, they were young. They started dating, they were dating for 6 months. The girl, I think she had Venus and Aries. She also had Moon in Leo, Sun in Aries. And after 6 months, he was a Capricorn too. He was a 10th house Capricorn. Capricorn Sun, and after 6 months she said she wanted a break, and he interpreted that as it's over, this will never work, and it's completely done. And then he went out of his mind and went and did a bunch of stuff that I'm not going to mention in this video. And she was I think she maybe dated some other people, but nothing really changed. She did exactly what she said she was going to do. She took a break, and I think this is why. Because he was talking marriage, etc., and she was a very independent person. She had these ideas of a special destiny and lots of other things in the chart that made her very curious about life. And this being enmeshed in this relationship was just obviously going to spook her, or spook someone like that who I think could be in a relationship like that if there's an understanding that this person is very curious about life and has a lot to learn outside of the relationship. But of course, none of that was said, none of that was talked about. That was the end of that. Because these people feel inwardly that they're special, they need to be treated as special by other people. Conversely, they can make the person that they're with feel incredibly special, pumping the other person up with intense displays of love and energy. I think that's important to remember, that this idea of being narcissistic, a person who has this and exhibits it in a healthy way, they can conversely make you feel that you are incredibly special. So by the nature of being with someone who has that special destiny, what should happen is that you also feel it kind of rubs off on you that you feel very special, and then they're going to bring you up and let you participate in their energy. They are instinctively attracted to others who have a strong sense of self, who radiate a strong, passionate nature, and is deeply self-orientated as themselves, and who have a strong sense of purpose in life. I think that's important too, that's when this can work, when the other person is just like them. They have their own sense of independence. I also, speaking of this person, I have that sense of being around them that they enjoy. They have just a kind of like a sense about themselves that they enjoy being around someone like me, because they see themselves in me. Where this person, the guy that I was talking about, doesn't have that exactly, at least not at this point in life. And I knew another guy who had Venus in Aries, and he was dating a girl, and they ended up getting married. She was like all earth. And I think that when we're talking about compatibility, there can be a lot of sacrifice here, where I don't know that she had those same attributes that the Venus in Aries had, but he was willing to sacrifice all that so that he could have a family, because you could see other things in the chart. Other things in the chart can give that balance of maybe there's other things that the person's interested in. And I do think he sacrificed a lot of what he talked about, a lot of what I just mentioned about the Venus in Aries. He would sacrifice that so that he could have a family and participate in life with this person. But he used that energy. He used that energy for supporting the family now. So I just wanted to mention that. That's how this can also work. It's not always the Venus and Aries person can't be in that normal consensus, can't live in that normal way. The Venus and Aries person will instinctively reject too much comfort and establish routines that lead to stagnation or boredom. And like in his case, he's a salesperson for a roofing company. So it kind of handles that. It's not really what I would call routine. He's not getting bored. Because Venus and Aries persons will attract others who are just as narcissistic as themselves, who can make them feel that they are the most special person that they have ever been with, yet also cyclically withdraw through their own fears of losing themselves in the relationship. They will cyclically lose their sense of self-confidence and become deeply insecure. I'm not going to get into all this part. Aries is obviously Mars ruled, which he talks about. They have a strong, passionate, sexual nature. He keeps using that word narcissistic. I don't know why. It generates inner vibration that manifests as an animal kind of magnetism. They're unaware of this until other people tell them. So that's how you kind of learn more about astrology too. As you're getting older, people start to tell you things. Maybe when you're young, you don't think of yourself as sexually attractive, and then as you get older, people start saying things. You start looking in the mirror, you start seeing things, and you realize that you're Venus and Aries. You don't really need, but some people I think do need to be told that they're Venus and Aries, or whatever they are. Like this idea of they might have a feeling that they have a special destiny, but it helps to know these things so that you can have more confidence in taking action. Other people can be attracted to Venus and Aries person as a sexual object. That is something to look out for sure. There are a lot of people out there that that's all they care about. Let's see. It says that their sexual energy is strong, yet it is unformed. Here's kind of what I was talking about. Accordingly, they will experiment with different ways of being sexual with other people in order to discover through experiences over time what their basic sexual nature is and what they need in order to actualize it. Thus, they will be attracted to others who also radiate a strong sexual nature. They use this to instinctively as a way of securing the attention of another person that they're interested in, or as a way of sustaining an existing relationship. It'd be nice to see more examples of these. So it's getting more into deeper side to that of what can happen. Venus and Aries person has embarked on a new cycle of personal development. So there's indicators in the chart that can show some indications that there's a new cycle, or if you're in the middle of a cycle or the end of a cycle. And planets in Aries certainly would indicate that there's possibility that you're on a new cycle. Freedom is necessary in order to discover and actualize new cycle. Aries needs freedom. Think Venus relationships. Venus and Aries needs freedom to discover this. If the Venus and Aries person already knows, then they don't need as much freedom. So there's a whole spectrum of how much freedom a Venus and Aries person needs. The key to actualizing this new cycle in a positive way is to embrace the sign Libra, because by embracing the individual needs of a partner or friend and encouraging the independent actualization of those needs, they will then attract others who do this for them. Thus, their fear of losing their individuality, of not being able to have their own life because of their relationship, will no longer exist. That goes back to my example. The guy would never be okay with that, but the girl would be okay with that. This idea of allowing that freedom, even if it was like, it doesn't have to be within the relationship, it could be a break or just being friends for a while. And this idea, because he's more traditional, and this goes back to what he's saying about to embrace Libra, because Libra, this is what Libra does. Relativity, relating to other people, trying to understand what their perspective is. Libra usually, when we talked about Venus and Libra, has the same or very similar things where they want to, they have a need, they often have a need to have lots of relationships to figure out what they want and need in a relationship. So going into that Libra space as a Venus and Aries and talking about that with other people, it's just this polarity of Aries and Libra, to understanding that and talking that out with people so that they understand that, and that you can still have a relationship, you can still be friends, and not ruin something that potentially could be good in the future. Because people have a tendency nowadays, it seems, to just like cut people off. And I don't think they realize that they're not going to, if it's like something special about it, they might only meet like a couple people like that in their life, if ever again. So having that conversation and understanding really would help people to maintain their relationships. Famous people with Venus in Aries. George Carlin. It's like George Carlin, he was married. But see, George Carlin, I don't remember what his chart looks like, but he would be more of like, I think he would be more on the side of having more understanding and not being so much of in a new cycle. I think he was very, like, he knew a lot of things. He was very aware from a young age. I mean, being a comedians usually are. That's another thing. Venus and Aries, you think of comedy. Could be Venus and Aries, Venus and Sagittarius, Venus and Leo. But Venus and Aries, if you think of George Carlin, he was more challenging the consensus and challenging taboo topics and bringing them to light in his comedy. And that goes along with the idea of Mars. Mars being the ruler of Aries. See, there's so much potential. This is another reason why astrology, this is like on a side, I'm done with the Venus and Aries, but this is a little bit of a side note. There's so much potential in the in astrological analysis and essentially in life, if people would sit down and be open to discussing these things. Because it's not as if like everything that I described is going to happen overnight, but this is what we would do in school if we wanted to live better lives from a relationship standpoint, from an emotional standpoint, because these people, if you're in a new cycle, like let's say the girl that I use as an example, if she's in this new cycle and she's willing to learn, and but she's going through these traumatic experience, etc., or all the experiences she's going to go through because she doesn't understand. She has a feeling. See, this particular person is strong. I say she was strong to do what she did, so I have to give her credit for that. But I'm rambling now, so I'm going to let that go, and I'm going to move on to Venus in Taurus. And thanks for watching.